This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140, and our top story is I just learned what happened if you tell Siri that you see a little silhouette of a man.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a lot to deal with.
She has a lot to say on that one.
A lot to say on it.
We completely appreciate your suggestions for us to have fun with Siri.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
Totally keep sending them in.
Yeah, totally. 100%. Trey.
100%.
NBA last night. Hornets over Knicks, 101-92. Warriors over Pacers, 132-100. Golden State's won 11 in a row. The Nets had won 6 in a row until they lost last night, 112-104 to the Celtics in Boston. The Nuggets were down 25. They came back to beat Memphis in Memphis, 95-92. And then the Hawks did the Kings a solid. They beat the Clippers 123-118. Sacramento now 2.5 games back of the Clippers for the number 8 seed. They welcome the Hawks into Golden One Center. Tomorrow night it's 7:01. Plan now to watch the big game at Sammy's Restaurant, the best food and drink inside Stone's Gambling Hall, I-80 at Antelope Road. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive. Sports 1140, KHTK. I got this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead.
I'm not letting you go to work today.
Wait, what?
Everybody, listen up.
Welcome to The Drive.
Morning.
You're going to talk. Get on the phone at 339-1140. Pretty awesome, huh? Jump in on our text line at 441140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
According to sources. I like sources.
Multiple sauces.
Sources. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that the Pelican, they plan to listen to offers on Anthony Davis, but won't make a deal before next Thursday's trade deadline unless they're offered an overwhelming package for the franchise's superstar. Lakers expected to talk with the Pelicans soon, but New Orleans is operating with an understanding that the Lakers' best deadline offer could still be available to New Orleans in the offseason once the Boston Celtics become factors. And I've learned enough through the years, everything's pointing to Lakers-Celtics, the greatest rivalry in the NBA. They're the ones now once again facing off, but this time for the grand prize of Anthony Davis. I've learned that just because that's what we think doesn't mean that's what will happen. And we learned that most recently with Paul George in Oklahoma City. Remember, Paul George was going to L.A. Kawhi Leonard wasn't going to Toronto. He was going to L.A. But that's two superstars that Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka have swung on and missed, trying to acquire them to come out to Los Angeles. This is what's very interesting because I can't sit here and tell you that for a fact because I've never spoken to Rich Paul personally. I can't tell you that Anthony Davis is going to the Lakers no matter what, and that's where he wants to go. What I can tell you is that if that is the case, if Anthony Davis and his camp only want to go to the Lakers, then that's where they will go. And here's why. Because Anthony Davis can't tamper, but Rich Paul can to a point. Rich Paul is free to have communications with New Orleans. And Rich Paul is free because his client is LeBron James. He, of course, is going to talk to Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka. So Rich Paul can go to Danny Ainge and say, hey, listen, I'm telling you this out of respect. My guy wants to go to L.A., and he's going to go to L.A. He's either going to go now, he's either going to go in the summer, or he's going to go when his contract expires at the end of next year. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want to trade all these assets to New Orleans to rent my client for a year, you can. And my client will play hard for you, but you will only have him for a year. I want to be clear. And he can go to New Orleans and say the same thing. I'm going to tell every team that calls me that we're going to play for the Lakers at the latest, a year and a half from now. What I'm also going to inform the Lakers of is the same thing. Period. And what Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka can do is they can go to Dell Demps and say, Dell, listen, this is the most important trade of your life, and you screwed up the Cousins one, and you're probably getting fired soon anyways. Here's our offer. We're going to offer you Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, and Kyle Kuzma, and we're going to give you a top 3 protected first-round pick. if you don't take this deal by the All-Star deadline, by the trade deadline, we're pulling the pick. And this summer, that deal is going to be this. And if the summer happens and you still have Anthony Davis, once the regular season starts, we're going to pull one of those 3 players. The deal's going to get worse for you.
Right. You had a better deal 2 days ago.
Because we can hold on to all of this, roll through next year, and still get Anthony Davis for nothing.
Right.
So your value goes down. That's our deal. We're not threatening you.
Well, and that's why I wonder if the Lakers really have any incentive
Because LeBron James is 34
outside
years
of
old.
right outside of LeBron's
That's why.
age.
That's the incentive. That's the incentive that they have. They have I don't think they want to go through.
Their window is finite.
Exactly. Yeah. It is. Very. So I think it behooves them to do this sooner rather than later. And by sooner, I mean now. And I just don't see, and we talked about this yesterday, quit screwing around. New Orleans shouldn't screw around.
Well,
The Lakers shouldn't screw around. Just get it done.
to be fair, I had very similar conversations about the Spurs with the Lakers. And they found a trade partner, and Kawhi is doing well in Toronto.
Kawhi's doing well in Toronto, but I think we'll be having this conversation next year, and we're going to look at Toronto giving up DeMar DeRozan and everything else they gave up for a year of Kawhi Leonard. I don't think Kawhi Leonard's going to be in Toronto next year, do you? I don't think so.
He might be.
I think if Toronto wins the NBA championship, he will, or if they make the finals, maybe. I think Kawhi's going to L.A. Now, I know while I was gone, there was a big hullabaloo about how he bought a $13.3 million Southern California home. I saw that, and that, of course, freaked everybody out. Like, oh, he's going no matter what. Well, I do believe he's going to L.A. no matter what, but also, if you look at where he bought the home, I believe it's 91 miles from Staples Center, and he's from Southern California. So I didn't look at that as anything. That I believe he's going to LA, but not because he bought the home. And I don't think that's the home he's going to be using if he plays at Staples Center. That's going to be his off-season ranch.
Gonna say, dude, if I had the kind of money to just buy a $13.3 million home,
Yeah.
I'd buy one anywhere I wanted.
Sure. But what a commute. 91 miles in LA.
Get a helicopter.
Yeah, exactly. That's about a 3-day commute in traffic. 91 miles. So I wouldn't screw around. I think that the way, I'm not here to argue that this is fair because I don't think it is. I'm not here to argue that I want the Lakers to get talent because I don't. But the Lakers are in the driver's seat. If Anthony Davis truly wants to go to the Los Angeles Lakers, Rich Paul has the ability to get him there. Now, if I see the Pelicans holding out and ending up making a deal with the Celtics, that means to me one of two things. Either A, Davis was open to both Boston and L.A., or B, Danny Ainge said, screw it. I'm going to roll the dice. I've had this war chest forever, and I'm going to do what I can to get Anthony Davis. And we're going to take our chances that we can re-sign him. But how many times have we also seen Danny Ainge with this giant war chest sit around and then end up not making a deal? Now, we saw the deal for Kyrie. We saw the deal for Gordon Hayward. But Danny Ainge is also known to sit on things. He's not Mr. Pull the Trigger. He's not Daryl Morey. He's not just going to go out and superstar hunt and do everything he can. He'll sit on it. He's done that, and the Celtics have been perennially rumored draft day trades and trade deadline deals. Oh, he's got this war chest. It doesn't mean he uses it. So I look at it, bottom line is I look at this Anthony Davis thing, and I kind of look at it skeptically. Like if you really want to get it done, get it done. You really want to get it done, you can get it done. Quit screwing around. Very interesting. I also had mentioned yesterday on social media that as much as I hate the Lakers, and I do, I'm going to hate them even more when they're trotting out LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Kawhi Leonard next year, which is a very real possibility. To which I was met with a cacophony of people saying, it's common knowledge Kawhi Leonard's going to the Clippers next year. What are you talking about? What? I mean, I've read it. I didn't know it was common knowledge. Well, Kawhi's not going to play with LeBron. Really? Really? I mean, do we know that?
No, but it's also not certain that he will. Like I think so much the last couple years, I guess I get even when LeBron signed there. So not even the last couple years. But it was, LeBron's going to go there, and then Kawhi's going to sign there, and they're going to trade for Anthony Davis, and Paul George is going to go there. And there was just this feeling that the Lakers were just going to be loaded.
Sure.
And none of that's happened. Paul George unexpectedly re-signed in OKC. The Spurs unexpectedly traded Kawhi somewhere other than L.A.
You're hearing about not Kawhi Leonard. You're hearing about Klay Thompson looking at Los Angeles, which is also...
Of course. His dad is the broadcaster there. And
it's very scary to me. I agree with you that we've seen this waved in front of us, but that was before LeBron James played there. I'm not confident in the abilities of Magic Johnson.
Even when LeBron signed there.
That we had...
That it was a certainty that Kawhi and Paul George were joining him with the Lakers, and that was just a thing that was going to happen. And then neither of those things happened.
Yeah, well, the Paul George thing, no. Kawhi, though, wasn't Kawhi already traded?
No.
LeBron signed before Kawhi was
Yeah.
traded? Oh, okay. Yeah, Kawhi didn't have much control there. Kawhi will be a free agent this summer.
Yeah.
And I don't believe he wants to stay in Toronto.
He might.
I hope you're right.
Me too. That would be really neat.
And if he doesn't go to Toronto, I hope he signs with the Clippers because I'd love for him to sign with an LA team, not the Lakers.
I think the idea of playing north of the border on a team that's good but doesn't get a ton of media hype is right up his alley.
Sure. Well, LA is certainly, there's a couple
Not
of cameras there. Finally, there was a rumor yesterday. I believe it was on The Ringer. Our guy Kevin, what's his name?
Kevin O'Connor.
Thank you. Who we're efforting for later this week.
Yeah.
Saying that he had heard the Kings were amongst other teams. I believe Detroit was one. Interested in Marc Gasol. James Ham, NBC Sports California, cited league sources that there is no interest in Marc Gasol. Now, I'm never ever going to blow up a fellow journalist. Like I'm a journalist. I'm never going to blow up a journalist, especially a local one. And I have tremendous respect for James and what he does. Let me just underscore, not that you need me to. Let me just underscore what James said and why you should take it to heart. James works for NBC Sports California, which means he essentially kind of works for the Kings. There's a very close relationship, a symbiotic relationship between the two. And when James is talking about league sources, I don't know. I haven't spoken to James. I could be dead wrong, but I would bet all but my kids' college funds that the league sources James talked to were Kings internal sources who told him flat out, this isn't true. And then James reports it, and that's exactly what he should do. So anybody doubting that report, and I've seen some people doubt the report, I don't doubt that. James wrote that, and I go, okay, that I can pretty much figure out exactly where that came from. So I believe it. Plus, it doesn't make a lot of sense, anyways.
In conclusion, my final thought on this:
yes,
if the Lakers wind up sending Kuzma, Ingram, Hart, and Ball plus picks, to New Orleans for Anthony Davis, I think that would be a disaster for the Lakers.
You do?
I do.
Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and then figure it out.
Yeah, they had Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins and figure it out. And they were going to be an 8th seed and lose in the first round. Well,
DeMarcus Cousins isn't LeBron James.
No, totally.
Secondly, when DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis were healthy, there was that stretch there. Remember going into that Houston game with DeMarcus, they were looking very good.
Yeah, they look good for sure.
Third, they swept a 3 seed in the first round without DeMarcus Cousins.
I
think it's a little bit of a different story when you have LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the LA Lakers mystique. That scares me a lot more than the Pelicans.
I guess.
We'll have to see.
The Blazers stink. Screw the Blazers.
Fort End territory is next, Super Bowl edition. We're going to focus on the Patriots today. We'll focus on the Rams tomorrow. It's The Drive, Sports 1140 KHTK. Catch up on the text line at 7:35. Also get to some Super Bowl stuff. Henry McKenna at 8:05 from Patriots Wire. We're focusing on the Patriots today, Rams tomorrow.
In the building in Atlanta.
Speaking of in the building, I promised you when I got back yesterday we would catch you all up on the events happening with the Sacramento Republic Football Club last week and what that means for the city of Sacramento. And the lead investor, is it former lead investor? I don't know. Now that Ron Burkle is involved, I don't even know what his title is. But the guy who was the most important cog in getting us here until this point. And a good friend of the show, Kevin Nagel, is going to come in studio tomorrow at 8:05 or 8:35, I should say, and spend the final half hour with us, just kind of breaking everything down. It'll be more of that's going to be a long form sort of podcast style interview, a little bit different from the norm that we would do on the phone, but we'll get you all the details on not only what's happened, but what will be, what we hope will be happening over the next few months. 4 Down Territory brought to you by Fire Wings. 21 different flavors to choose from. Why are you smiling?
Nothing, just something I saw on the internet.
Firewings.com.
Somebody told Shea Serrano he should write a book about intermingling 90s culture with 90s basketball.
That's a good idea.
It's like literally with basketball and other things.
Yeah, that's exactly what he wrote. First down, Kyle.
Is this Rob Gronkowski's last season?
I think it is. I do. I think it is. You saw this year. There were times where he was a shell of his former self. I don't think he's the best tight end of all time. But I do think at his peak, there was no other tight end better.
Yeah, he's been the most dominant tight end for sure. I think it's kind of the same idea as Shaquille O'Neal.
I mean, I can point to Tony Gonzalez. I can point to Antonio Gates. I can point to a number of people that I think did it very well for longer. But I think when Rob Gronkowski was healthy and clicking, I don't think there's another tight end that has approached his dominance, as you said. But he's just kind of fallen apart. I know he thought last year about retiring. I think win or lose, and really more likely if they win, I think this would be Gronk's last year. And I could absolutely see if the Patriots win this whole thing, I could see him announcing at the post game that he's done. So yeah, I don't think
he does it post game.
No. You don't think he tries to lap up that limelight, that moment?
No. Because that takes away from everybody else and everything else that's going on.
Oh, so he's certainly
and honestly,
yeah.
I will give him credit. I don't think he would want to do that.
Okay.
He'll give the standard, I've got to think about it. He might hint one way.
Sure.
But he's not going to be like, that's it. I'm hanging him up. He's not just going to do that.
Second down.
It's not the Patriots way.
No. Second down.
That's true.
Me, not we.
Right.
Is this Tom Brady's last season?
It shouldn't be. Everything he's said, he's been asked is, he wants to play till he's 45. And, hey, he's showing no signs of slowing down. Okay, there are cracks in the armor, but he's still, good fade, he's still one of the best statistical quarterbacks playing this year, and his team's in the Super Bowl.
For sure.
So, to me, he's still at the top of his game.
He's not at the top of his game.
Now, you're saying he's not the best Tom Brady that's ever been.
Yeah, that's what top of his game means.
I think that Belichick and the Patriots have adjusted some of their game plans to adjust to who he is, but I think it's working really, really well. Because what hasn't faded for Tom Brady is his quick twitch mind, his ability to check down 10 different options, his ability to, 98% of his passes are 2 yards downfield, but they're perfectly timed and placed passes.
See, and that's where I disagree.
Really?
I feel like this year he's missed on more open throws than I've ever seen him miss on. Yeah, those little check downs to James White, and you get him to Julian Edelman over the middle on a big third down, and he's gonna drill it. But he's missed some open throws down the field multiple times this year, where he's looked so much more mortal than he has in the past.
No, and I agree with you on down the field. What I was speaking of, as I said, they might be 2 yards down the field, but those passes are perfectly placed. Those passes are perfectly placed and perfectly timed. Yeah, they've adjusted everything for Tom Brady, but Tom Brady still threw for 4,300 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 11 picks.
I mean,
but to answer the question, Kyle, if they win the Super Bowl, I could see him hanging it up.
Me too.
I absolutely could.
His post game at the AFC Championship, where he looked into the camera and he was like, "Hey, family that's watching, thanks."
Right.
That was weird to me. That
What?
screamed like, "Hey, thanks for letting me do this."
Right. 100% tears at his retirement press
Yeah.
conference?
Oh my
Like-
goodness, for sure.
Like, okay, but will there be like ugly crying?
By the media, yes.
Yeah, that's true.
People in attendance like, "Tom."
The tears will flow in Boston. Many media members will retire with him.
Just sitting up there next to him.
Third down.
Third down.
Kind of answered this in your last question, but will a win or loss be part of Brady's decision?
Yeah, I think it will. Again, this is assuming he retires at the end of this year. I think it's more likely he retires if they win the Super Bowl than if they lose the Super Bowl.
I feel the opposite.
Really?
Because he had that quote that a bunch of people dug up after that weird game in Kansas City a few years back, where he said, I'll retire when I suck, or something like that.
Sure.
Something along those lines. And I think if he goes out and they lose the Super Bowl and he doesn't play particularly well, I could totally see him saying, like, "Hey, I said I would retire when I can't do this anymore. I felt it throughout this year, and the pressure the Rams brought today, my body is to the point where, I just can't do this anymore. I got my family to think about. I got to watch my kids grow up, blah, blah, blah." All that.
66% completion percentage.
Yeah. I'm not saying he was terrible, but I'm saying that's what he would.
You're saying.
But I'm saying that's what he would lean back on if he has a bad game and they lose in the Super Bowl. Granted, Tom Brady having a bad game in a Super Bowl is.
I feel like you're saying he's trash.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying. Tom Brady, more like Tom Bad.
Fourth down.
Fourth down. Fourth
God,
down.
Brady. Would either Belichick or Brady continue without the other?
I don't think so. Okay, well, here's what I don't think if Belichick left, Brady would continue. Belichick's old, man. What is 66, I think, to McVay's 33?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like they're both going to go out together. That's how it should be. And I think that storylines and I think that history and I think that Pantheon style thought, I think that's important to them, to both of those guys. I think they're very aware of their place in history. And as somebody said, I can't remember where I heard it yesterday, but people are going to talk about Bill Belichick in 40 years like we talk about Vince Lombardi.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's that guy.
Yeah, the way we talk about Bill Walsh, that's going to be Belichick.
That's Belichick.
So I understand the logic of one would want to prove they can do it without the other, but I also know these are two very smart dudes,
right,
who know that they probably can't have that level of success without the other.
And they shouldn't. Why?
Yeah, there's no reason. They're tied together no matter what happens. If Brady leaves and Belichick comes back and they go 10-6 and lose in the first round, that's not helping him at all.
No, at all. Nobody's going to say, well, I don't want to see, nor do I think we will see Tom Brady in a Broncos uniform.
Yeah.
Or Bill
that's
Belichick
not
coaching
happening for
Jacksonville.
Sure. No.
No, I completely agree.
Belichick will retire from coaching. He'll be a defensive consultant or whatever for the Patriots, and he'll get a check from them and make some appearances now and then.
Why even chance it? Belichick, Brady, there's your presidential ticket. Who says no? Belichick, Brady, 2020. That's what it's going to be. Kyle, end of the Super Bowl, they win the whole thing. They announce they're retiring and running for president. Oh, my God. I don't even want to speak that. How big would that story be?
We haven't seen Kings fans showing this type of...
Hey, it's Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Kings didn't play last night. They don't play tonight either. And there were no developments in the Anthony Davis saga, so we're going to look at the NBA scoreboard. The Hornets topped the Knicks 101-92. The Warriors won their 11th in a row, 132-100 over the Indiana Pacers. Boston snapped the Nets' 6-game win streak with a 112-104 victory in Boston. The Nuggets were down 25 in the second half in Memphis, but rallied back to beat the Grizzlies 95-92. And the Hawks came through big time for the Kings. They downed the Clippers 123-118 at Staples Center. The Kings are now 2.5 back of the Clippers for the number 8 seed. They welcome the Hawks into the Golden One Center. That's tomorrow. It's 7:35. Plan now to watch the big game at Sammy's Restaurant. The best food and drink inside Stone's Gambling Hall, I-80 at Antelope Road. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140. KHTK.
To call the drive, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can also text them at 441140. They're ready to believe you.
Henry McKenna, Patriots Wire, is going to join us at the top of the hour. Kevin Nagel will be in studio to talk all things Sac Republic tomorrow at 8:05. We're also working on a couple other guests for you this week. We appreciate you joining the drive. 1-800-920-1140 is the Firewings hotline. 441140 is your Jiffy Lube text line. Want to remind you, you can, of course, watch the drive at KHTK.com. All kinds of fun and hijinks, and really just look at our ugly faces as well. KHTK.com. Just scroll down there right at the top of the page. If you're on a desktop or laptop computer, if you're on your phone, towards the middle of the page. Tim Maxwell contributes to Sacktown Royalty, where we get a lot of our numbers here. You mentioned the Clippers in your update. Losing at home to the Hawks, which is weird because the Kings are better than the Hawks. And of course, we'll find out when the Hawks play here tomorrow. But Buddy Hield, when guarded by Patrick Beverley this season, Kyle, 35 possessions. In those 35 possessions, he has 10 points on 4 of 14 shooting. That's 29%. 0 of 7 from behind the arc. No assists and a turnover. That backcourt the Clippers have is pretty darn good defensively. That's a big deal. Kings struggle against that.
Yeah, Patrick Beverley used to give Stephen Curry a lot of problems. And basically, you start to play against a guy and you learn his tendencies and you kind of figure out how to counter it a little bit. And I think that'll happen with Buddy. The issue with Buddy is his ball handling isn't quite there yet. And so a defender like Beverley, who's super tenacious on that end, who's just going to get up in your jersey,
yep,
that's gonna throw a player like Buddy off who can't, shake a defender with his ball handling skills.
No, he needs to outrun him is what he needs to do.
Yes.
I also want to shout out King's Twitter as well. Your guy, John, the worst
Love
person.
John. Big John fan.
Worst person on the internet.
Huge John supporter.
So everyone's
to support John.
Everyone's getting a hold of the Twitter machine. The trade machine, I should say. The ESPN trade machine. This is silly season and posting their trades. Like, who says no? So John posted a 4-team deal in which the Kings give up Yogi Ferrell, Zach Randolph, Iman Shumpert, Kosta Koufos, Nemanja Bjelica, and Willie Cauley-Stein. That's a lot to give up, Kyle.
That's like all of their assets.
And they do this with the Warriors, Pelicans, and Wizards. In return for Yogi Ferrell, Zach Randolph, Iman Shumpert, Kosta Koufos, Nemanja Bjelica, and Willie Cauley-Stein. In return for that, the Kings receive Otto Porter Jr., Anthony Davis, and DeMarcus Cousins.
Okay. I like it. I think I like it so far for the Kings.
I posted yesterday. I said, this might be the first trade I've seen in years that actually makes sense. Which, if you look at the trade, you know where I'm going. It's just the most unrealistic thing, period. But I just want to shout out the amount of people that actually took it seriously.
That's the unbelievable thing.
The best part
is like, you write who says no in an obviously just ludicrous trade. And somebody's like, the Wizards and Pelicans and who else? And the Warriors say no to that.
Right.
Like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the bit. I think there's I think there should be a thing where teams, any trade that goes through the trade machine, teams have to publicly comment on.
Every single one.
Yes. Like you fire a trade through the trade machine. You have to send it to the team. It doesn't just send them an email when a trade machine trade gets done. But if John were to submit that to the NBA and say, this is my trade machine proposal, the NBA spits that back out to the Pelicans, Warriors, and Wizards and Kings. And they say, hey, you got to comment.
You got to comment.
We sponsor this.
Yes, they're just going through pages, and they're at their they're at their post game. There's page 87. Jimmy G 3969 in Wisconsin submits this. What do you think of this, Dell Dumps? So it's why I worry about society, Kyle, that not only are there a number of people out there that actually took that seriously and commented on it. That's not even the best part.
And real quick, just in case people listening aren't familiar with the trade machine, it's this thing on ESPN where you can pick teams and then you can basically pick players and then you click execute trade and it tells you whether the trade works, basically just financially.
It's like a salary cap helper where it does all the math behind the scenes and tells you whether or not this trade would work under cap rules.
Just under cap rules. It doesn't take into account talent or anything.
Thank you for explaining that. Because I assume everybody knows about the trade machine. You're 100% correct. So the fact that a lot of people took it seriously was not the best part. The best part, and this is where I truly wonder about the future of our society. Like, I want to ask these people, do you happen to hold a job where somebody else's life is in your hands? Do you operate heavy machinery? Do you drive a car? Do you vote? Please answer no to all those things. The best ones are the ones that are like, I don't like it. I've heard several. I don't think DeMarcus. No, it's I don't think DeMarcus would work here. I don't want to go through that again. Or the one I just got, not a big fan of the Otto Porter part because that's going to block Marvin Bagley. Like people literally, the best isn't the people that actually think that that's a serious trade. The best are the people that
don't like it,
that don't like the trade, that literally look at a trade that brings the Kings Otto Porter, Anthony Davis, and DeMarcus Cousins and the only starter they give up is Willie Cauley-Stein. The rest of it is all expirings. And they go, nah. I'm sorry, Bielitsa was in there too. Willie Cauley-Stein, Bielitsa, Yogi Ferrell, Costa Koufos, and Zach Randolph. For Anthony Davis, Otto Porter, and DeMarcus Cousins. And there are Kings fans out there, no,
I worry about, because Anthony Davis needs the ball. How's that going to affect De'Aaron Fox's growth?
I don't think De'Aaron Fox can play with Otto Porter.
Yeah.
Or the one that said, I'm good with it all, but I'm not giving up Shumpert. It's too good for the locker room. Listen, Iman Shumpert, I love Iman Shumpert. And we'll be talking to Iman Shumpert here very, very soon. I love him to death.
The trade machine is the best thing.
But get out of here, locker. I think I don't begrudge fans for this because I am one, and I get overly attached.
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes you have to step back. Like, dude, you just have to let go of some players. Like you might actually like new players. I don't want to let go of this guy. Well, you're a 500 team.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we really have to try and keep an eye on keep our minds on during the trade deadline or coming up to the trade deadline is like really the Kings are not at their ceiling, but you see the ceiling with this version of the Kings.
Yeah.
Like the ceiling's there. De'Aaron Fox will get better. Buddy Hield will get better. Marvin Bagley will get better. But they have to do. They're going to have to do some roster overhaul here at some point.
Sure.
And that's fine. Every team goes through that. Every team does that. And I just want to get that out there now because the Kings aren't. I feel like Vlade has earned enough of the benefit of the doubt through the last couple years to know like he's not going to do something that's going to completely derail the direction that it's taken a long time to pull this thing back onto the tracks, but they've got it back onto the tracks now.
Well, that's why I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to make any moves at this deadline.
Yeah.
Which I don't agree with. I don't agree. You've got $11 million in cap space. Nobody else has cap space. You have to do something.
Yeah.
I don't care if you use that $11 million to grab a first-round draft pick in 2022. You've got it. That cap space expires, I think, June 30th, that you can use it. You can't just wait. That is an asset. That's an asset right up there with an expiring contract or a player's talent. That's an asset. You can't just, but it's an asset that disappears into thin air June 30th. You got to do something. We told you about rumors yesterday that Mark Gasol was being talked about. That was shot down by James Ham. Let's check in on the text line for the first time today. Kyle, I'm scared here. I'm just going to go right down the list.
I'm going to come in there and look at your computer.
Oh, would you? That'd be great. Yeah, come right in.
Tech support.
Tech support, Kyle Madsen. The Jiffy Lube text line at 441140. From the 916, do you realize how insane this whole conversation is, considering Vegas had the Kings at 24 to 25 wins for the entire season? No, I mean, it's a great thing to keep an eye on. I think no matter, listen, this team being 500, it doesn't mean losing sucks or doesn't suck. Of course it does. Of course it does. But big picture, they're in a great spot. From the 530, Dave, if DeMarcus Cousins went to the Lakers, would there be a small part of you rooting for them in the finals if they made it? Yeah, that's a tough one, but I've gone through that before. I went through that with Ron Artest. And it would be very, very similar, where I can't, in fact, root for the Lakers. I can't, in fact, root for the Lakers, but I do love me some of those guys, and I want to see them do well.
Your password is password?
Yeah, my password's password. Kyle's over here. You see what I'm saying, dude? Kyle's trying to figure out my my text line on my computer. He can't do it. I'm telling you, it's weird. Kyle's thinking I'm like some old man that doesn't know how to work this stuff. Do I think the GMs, general managers in the NBA use the trade machine? I absolutely do. I don't think they do everything on the trade machine, but why not? It's a very simple tool, so they don't have to look stupid if they call a GM and say, hey, we want to trade X for Y, and the GM goes, LOL, noob. You can't do that. Kyle is the biggest hater I've ever heard on air. He hates Brady, Gronk, and LeBron. Come on, respect their talent at least. I guess you do. But then three texts later, it's basically saying that I'm an idiot and I love the Patriots and you're speaking the truth. So don't feel bad. Yeah, I can't.
I got nothing for you, dude.
I appreciate the help, but.
What if you did that?
Oh, you're going to talk to live support?
Yeah.
A couple texts here. I address this about once a month. People in the Roseville area saying, can you figure out a way to help all of us out here in Placer County with better radio reception? It's awful. And that's from Jason in Rockland. And then Jason followed that text up at 7:30 saying, wow, whatever you did worked, basically. Well, here's the deal. There's something going on. There's something with our signal. It's always been this way with 1140 that like goes up to Canada and blah, blah, blah. There's something at nighttime for some reason. There's like a hot spot in the Roseville area, which is why if you're driving around in the Roseville, Rockland area and the sun is down, you're going to have terrible reception for KHTK. Jerry Scudney. You've hooked me up with Jerry Scudney on support for our text messages. Thank you, Kyle. So bottom line is, if you're driving around Roseville, Rockland, and the sun is down, KHTK has terrible reception for you. When the sun is up, it's great. So my suggestion would be to download the KHTK app and play the radio station through your car stereo or just through your phone speaker. I don't think it's legal to put headphones in while you're driving, so don't do that. But that's how I would go. I mean, we've had that question since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
But
I used to weirdly, when I was in Arizona, after the sun went down in certain parts of 60 in Arizona. That's a big freeway through Phoenix.
Kyle, I live in Arizona.
I could get multiple stations from this area in through like patches of. It was very strange. It's like turn on Grant and Doug.
Right.
It's weird. It's super weird.
I've gotten KHTK in LA before.
Yeah, it's it was further south than that.
I don't know what to tell you other than that's why we have the app. That's the only thing I can say. It sucks, and I live in Roseville.
Hey, what if we ask the engineers? We're like, hey, more people are asking about this. Can you kind of explain? They're like, that's why you can't have Bluetooth.
Right, because I've asked this question to the engineers 700 times, and I still don't know what the real. I'm not saying they're lying to me. I'm saying I don't.
I think it's literally stuff like in space. It's a solar flare combined with radio interference from the aliens that are hanging out watching us. Ultimately, this is proof that the Earth is flat.
Makes sense. Steph better.
We can't even get Sports 1140 in Roseville when the sun is down. How are you going to tell me we landed on the moon? It was obviously fake.
Here's one for you, Kyle. The Patriots are getting all the attention, really.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the Rams, you're here. It's cute.
I feel like media people don't want to catch the wrath of the Patriots saying, like, bet against us. So they're going way overboard, and they're like, no, see, we actually think you guys are great.
Right. Honestly.
Also, I wanted on the record, I was doing stuff in there. I called Rob Gronkowski the best tight end of all time.
You did. Do you
So-
truly believe that? You think he's better than Tony Gonzalez?
Not statistically, but he has championships. He's the most dominant tight end of all time for sure. He's really good. He's an excellent player. I just think he's lame. Tired of him.
From the 530, I'll also answer this. Do the games play on the app? I have this in my pinned tweets.
I think that brilliant by you, by the way.
The NBA does not play. We can't broadcast Kings games over the app or online. The NBA has a thing called Audio League Pass that they charge people for. The problem is what would happen if let's say KHTK played Kings games on the app. That means that W blah 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 is going to play Knicks games on their app, and everybody's going to play games on their app. Then nobody's going to buy NBA Audio Pass because they can just go to the website or download the apps for all the radio stations that have NBA teams and play it for free. So we can't play Kings games online. That's why during a Kings game, if you go on the app or you go to KHTK.com, you're going to hear like Scott Farrell or something. We can't do it. It's not it's not a programming decision. I'm sorry. Not going to happen. But I understand the question. I do. I understand why you're asking me that. I just can't help you there. Kyle, I switched to Google Chrome from Safari, and that's why I can now see texts. So I can now see you on the text lines, everybody.
You know how I know that you're over 40?
Because I use Safari?
Because you use Safari.
Really? Safari is for old people? I mean, I understand if you want to get on me for having a Hotmail account, which I do.
That's how you know. That's how I know you're over 50.
But I'm not yet. I'm not, Kyle.
You want to know what the first thing I did when I got my Mac?
Oh.
I downloaded Chrome. First thing I did.
Why?
Because.
No, but why? Why did you do it?
Because Chrome works better.
It works.
I don't
better.
have problems like this.
Literally.
I tried. So I had a problem with this podcast app that I use, and it wasn't working right in Chrome. So I went to open it in Safari, and Safari was like, "Nope, try Chrome." It literally was like, "Try Chrome or Firefox." Literally said that verbatim. Nope. The ESPN trade machine works in all browsers, though.
According to Quora.com, Safari is more reliable and standards more compliant than Chrome. It doesn't forget the contents and form fields like Chrome does. I think, can I tell you?
Fine, I don't want my information stored.
Can I tell you why I think you downloaded Chrome?
Why?
Because it's a cool thing to do.
No, it was actually just because of familiarity.
It's because you people, and by you people,
Wow.
yeah, and I'm talking millennials.
Wow.
You got to go against the grain.
Wow, unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
I think it's like, oh, no, I'm not Safari.
I feel attacked. No, I feel attacked right now. I don't like this.
Are you offended, though?
I'm extremely offended.
Have I violated?
You're violating my right to use whatever internet browser I want.
As we go to break from the 916, what a great segment this was. Kyle is the hardest working guy on this show, never takes vacation or calls in sick. Dave, on the other hand, just took a week vacation. In 3 weeks, he's taking another vacation. Plus, he calls in sick.
It's cool that Jason's using the text line.
Show me the lie.
You read that, yep. All right.
From the 916, I'm Kyle. Hashtag millennial story about web browser. Just stop, Kyle. Just stop.
Well, actually, let me tell you about my experience with Firefox. Because
that's cool. I'm opening it up. I'm going to go ahead and open up my Netscape browser while we break. Henry McKenna is going to join us from Patriots Wire. We'll talk Patriots. We'll be talking Rams tomorrow. We'll ask your questions at 441140. Your thoughts.
Modem.
Hey, I remember having to put the CD in with the 100 free AOL hours, man. You've got mail.
Yeah, totally.
To drive Sports 1140 KHTK.